Storyline number 11 for the 2019 season, and it could go a lot higher by the time week one rolls around. What will the impact be of the new rule that allows for replay review of pass interference, both offensive and defensive, both called and not called? This is all a reaction to what we saw in the NFC Championship game when there was a blatant instance of pass interference that wasn't called. The NFL, I think, has overreacted by making all instances of interference called and not called subject to replay review. It's potentially going to be a mess for reasons we have discussed at length at ProFootballTalk.com and on PFT Live and also on the PFT PM podcast. For now, the point is this: whether or not it's going to affect the NFL's 100th season hovers over the weeks leading up to the start of the campaign. And just like last year with that helmet rule that we saw affect the preseason the first couple of weeks in a very negative way, the NFL on the fly fixed it. The challenge this year, once we see how this replay review and especially automatic review in the final 2 minutes of either half of pass interference is going to play out, will the NFL mobilize to fix it? And ultimately, will the commissioner be the one who quite possibly has to pull aside Senior VP of Officiating Al Riveron and say, look, this is a very high bar that we're going to apply to overturning these rulings. This is just a mechanism for preventing another outcome like the one that we saw in the Rams-Saints game. This isn't about opening the door to all sorts of reversals of pass interference that wasn't called or was called, and we're going to look at it frame by frame and slow it down and second guess the rulings on the field. I think if necessary, the commissioner needs to say that to Al Riveron, and Al Riveron needs to follow it, because the last thing we need, a bunch of stoppages late in games, a bunch of reversals based upon questionable evidence. It needs to truly be clear and obvious. And the one thing that's clear and obvious for now, it's a story that will hover over the NFL's 100th season until we see that new rule be applied in a way that makes us all say, okay, we get it. This is just there as protection against the kind of worst-case scenario that we saw in the NFC Championship game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.